The Last Passenger Mystery of the Midnight Bus. Every town has its secrets. Ours had Route 13, a lonely road surrounded by dense, suffocating forest, and a bus that only ran at midnight. People called it the Midnight Bus, and most avoided it unless they had no other choice. The driver was an old man named Salmon, who had worked that route for over 20 years. He said he didn't believe in ghosts, but always kept a Quran in his glove compartment and never looked in the rearview mirror after midnight. On a stormy Thursday night, the bus pulled out of the terminal at exactly 12 o'clock a.m. There were only 3 passengers. A man in his 30s returning from work, a university girl with headphones on, and an elderly woman carrying groceries. Everything seemed normal until the bus reached the edge of the forest. That's when they saw her. Standing alone at a bus stop that hadn't been used in years was a girl in a white dress, soaking wet from the rain. Her long black hair covered most of her face. Without a word, she stepped onto the bus and quietly sat in the back. No1 spoke to her. No1 even heard her footsteps. The girl didn't blink. She didn't move. She just stared straight ahead. The air grew cold. The bus lights flickered. One of the passengers whispered to another, asking if she was okay, but the girl didn't move. She just stared straight ahead. The air grew cold. The bus lights flickered. One of the passengers whispered to another, asking if she was okay, but the girl didn't respond. It was like she wasn't really there. About 10 minutes into the ride, the bus suddenly jerked to a stop in the middle of the forest. The engine died. The lights went out. Everyone panicked. The driver tried to restart the engine, but it wouldn't turn over. Then the girl finally spoke. Her voice was flat, emotionless. "I'm going. But I can't go alone." Before anyone could ask what she meant, she stood up and walked toward the front of the bus. As she passed the passengers, their breath froze. Their hands turned pale. One by one, they lost consciousness. The last thing the driver saw before blacking out was her face in the mirror. She was smiling. The next morning, police discovered the bus crashed into a tree deep in the forest. The driver was found unconscious but alive. 2 passengers were severely injured, but one was missing, the man in his 30s. Even stranger, there was no record of any other passenger entering the bus. The camera footage glitched at the exact moment the girl boarded. The driver described her in vivid detail: her dress, her hair, her dead eyes. So did the surviving passengers. But the bus company swore. No one else had a ticket. A week later, the missing man's body was found in the forest. His face was frozen in terror. In his hand, he clutched something strange, a child's necklace with the name Nadia carved into it. 3 weeks after the crash on Route 13, things should have gone back to normal, but they didn't. The surviving passengers, Sana, the university girl, and the old woman named Kala Begum, were both discharged from the hospital. But they never spoke to anyone about what happened, and never rode another bus again. The driver, Salmon, took early retirement. He claimed to have lost his memory of that night, but then came the USB. A local journalist named Faraz was covering the crash when he received an anonymous envelope. Inside was a USB drive with no label, only a single file named "Do not watch alone." Faraz, being a skeptic, ignored the warning. That night, he plugged the drive into his laptop. It was bus camera footage. It started normal. The bus picking up passengers. Quiet ride. Rain on the windows. But at exactly 12:13 a.m., the camera glitched just like the official records had said. But this time, the footage continued. The screen flickered. And there she was, the girl in white, standing silently in the aisle, staring directly into the lens as if she knew she was being watched. Suddenly, she lifted her hand and pointed, not at the passengers, not at the driver, at the town's records revealed a girl named Nadia who had died 20 years ago in a bus crash on Route 13 on a stormy night. While going home, she was never found. They say she still rides the midnight bus, looking for someone to go home with so if you're ever out late and a bus stops for you. Don't get on, especially if the girl in white is already sitting in the back.